welcome back to Retro for You again. Today, exciting day, we're going to recap the Amiga CD32. Hopefully get a working board after it. Like I said before, the caps on this board are pretty bad. You can always spot a cap that's about to blow, or in other ways, about to hatch. Remember the alien eggs out of Aliens? Look here. You can see the top's about to swell, like he's gonna, hatch a little face hugger. And a bit ironic as well is when these things leak, it actually corrodes the board, so it's like alien acid again. So you never know, perhaps it had little face huggers inside. Anyway, I'm going to show you now how to remove one of these through board capacitors. And I know before as well, Commodore printed the boards wrong on these two. So the positive is probably negative and the negative is probably positive. But we'll test that again with a meter soon. So let's just carry on now with this and start removing this capacitor. So to remove these, you have to go to the underside of the board where the legs actually physically through the board. They're there, as you can see. First we're going to get some flux and flux these up. Like I said before, you can't solder without flux. So make sure you can never put too much flux on, in my opinion. Now I've got my desoldering gun. And I also give it some heat as well from the heat gun to help basically flow the solder. Just change over my hands here because I'm right-handed. So as you can see, I'm constantly moving the heat gun, as you do not want to keep it on one spot because otherwise you'll just blister the board. So I'm beginning to solder up the solder now while heating at the same time, and that will clear the holes. Giving it a few more seconds. Just make sure they're really clean. So now, I think it's ready to be pulled out now. So now I just get over it underneath, and there you go, it pops out. As you can see again, look at the top now, it is totally bellowed up. I think if I squeeze it, it would have popped out. So now you can see the pads are intact, because obviously we've used flux and everything, there's no damage there. And the holes are clear. So now we'll move the next one. What I do, I speed this up a bit now because obviously you don't want to be watching this all the while. Okay, so next we should see this is negative, but on the board that says positive, which should be the way around. So what we're going to do, we're going to test continuity from that ground pad to that positive point which is on the board. So here we go, one on the ground, one on the positive, and it actually beeps. So there you go, we have continuity from the positive point to the negative, which means they printed the board wrong on these. So now when we place the caps in this side, it's the same on that one, the negative needs to go in the positive hole. Usually you don't do that, but obviously Amiga being Amiga, must have built these boards on a Friday. Wanted to go home, so he just labelled up anyway to get home. Down to the pub, I guess. So there you go, now we're going to place the cap in. Here's the other caps I've got, obviously lots of surface mounts. So we'll get the replacing caps and start to fit one. So there you go, negative band. And you can see the difference there between the flat top and the about to hatch top. So there's the negative. So the negative has gone in positive. What I do now is I pull the legs through and I just bend them out slightly to hold it in place. And again, you guessed it, we'll start fluxing. So we'll get the iron. Always make sure the tip's clean. Clean this after every solder. So now we'll get some thin solder and we'll just let that flow. Obviously that will flow through the hole to both sides because of the flux. Just like that. We'll feed the solder into the heat. Let it flow through. Now we'll snip the legs off. Give it one last solder, and I usually push it from behind as well to make sure it's seated into place okay. I'll just reflow it around the bits we cut off. That's at every place now. So we're going to do the rest of them. Obviously there's more through pin ones here. Before that we're going to mask all the ports up and everything as well with some tape before we attempt to take the surface mount ones off. So now we're just giving it a clean with some IPA before we place the cap. And again, I'll speed this next part up because otherwise we watch it forever. Basically the reflective will like disperse the heat, it will reflect the heat so it won't damage other components like the plastic ports at the back. So we need to tape all that up Now we're going to remove a surface mount capacitor. So again, we'll flux it up, and we'll get the heat gun. Basically, the two legs that are split apart. Imagine somebody doing the splits. So we're going to use a heat gun, and we're going to gently heat. Obviously, I've got this sound free settings, so I start at a lower heat, so not to like flex the board too much. So we're going to start at a lower heat, and we're just going to use a pair of tweezers, and you'll know when it's free. Obviously, it heats up like between, I think it start at 100, and then to 200, and then to 350, and then it'll just lift off like that basically, and the pads are fine. Next we will, you can see here now the two pads. Just check when you are replacing these, put them back on the right orientation. So what we're going to do now, we're going to get some IPA again, give these pads a clean to get rid of any toxins or anything that's leaked out, any corrosive stuff, alien acid as we say. So give it a good scrub. Shame we haven't got the squeakiness here, because the squeak it makes is quite satisfying. You can see there the amount of muck that's come. What a soda paste, which is basically little tiny balls of soda in flux. There is some mixed flux in there, but I still use flux as well as this. Obviously this is a bit dry, this stuff. So I get some bit of this and I put it onto the pads, use my tweezers, and just scrape it onto the pads. This is just to tint them basically. So we'll put them on. Then we use some more flux again. And then we'll just flow that soda onto them pads, and you'll see how shiny they go. There you go. So now we will melt the soda and slide the pad. So we slide the capacitor onto the pad so that it's level, and so the soda, and push it down at the same time. And then basically go to the other side as well and repeat the same process. We'll warm it up on its leg, push the leg down, push the cap down, make sure it's well seated and well soldered. So I'll go to the other side, I'll push that down, solder it, and then there you go, nice and tight, not moving, all done. So now I'm showing you this one. I'm not going to stand here and film the whole lot. I'm going to film it obviously, but we won't let you watch it, and we will get on with the others, and I'll speed the video up in full speed. Now you can see the caps are in place, all secure, all soldered on, looks a lot better. Now it's time to put it back together and test. So here it is, ready, plugged up to the TV. All I could find was some RCAs, but these are like really long RCAs, so I can't see the picture quality being too good. Because all I could find at short notice. So we shall turn the power light, and we have a light, which is really good. And on the TV we have some interference, which was expected, but there you go. One working CD32, another Amiga saved. I have burned some CDs to try. Obviously the lid's got issues, so let's just try that. The access light's going on. Oh, that does not sound very healthy at all. Looks like we might be on for next issue, changing the laser by sound of it. Unless, hold this lid. That sounds better. Maybe it's this lid mechanism isn't closing properly and pushing it, but whether or not it's going to load. So there you go, guys. Looks like, by the looks of it, there's going to be another CD32 video coming up. What I do need to do is get all the original disc to try. So I'm going to order something off the bay and see what I can get. And we'll see from there. So I'll see you next video, mending the optical drive. Thanks a lot. Now the CD32 is alive. Ones, and the difference is a lot better, as you can see. Okay, no interference, nice crisp picture. Okay, thank you, bye.